This is PJ coming to you live once again, all the way from Fort Worth, Texas. I am about to recite a poem that I wrote for a dear friend of mine who passed away about I think it was 2000, 2001, actually about 13 years ago. And like I said, quite a few times that most of my poems are geared around something that happened or an event or something. I just don't sit and just write a poem. It does have a meaning behind it. So this particular poem that I'm about to read is for a dear friend of mine who was a counselor. He was actually my counselor. I had gone through quite a storm and had gotten hurt on my job, and I worked for Sprint at the time, and I ended up hurting my back. And while I was out, under the doctor's care, I was released, and that was a very devastating time that they would let me go while I was out, not well. But anyway, I ended up, I was a little depressed about it and ended up taking therapy and going to see a counselor and stuff like that, and ended up getting a very, very, very nice counselor. And I had always been interested, well, I love people first and foremost. And when I would go in to see him, I would tell him, I want your job, I want to do something like you do. And, so I, start taking more clerical classes and trying to do something, to enhance my clerical skills and stuff like that. So I started going to classes, and while I was completing my classes, my courses, I would go in and talk to my counselor, and he was like, well, Peggy, aren't you ready to go back to work? And I was like, yeah, I really am, but I don't know what I want to do now. So he suggested that I apply for some of the jobs with the state, which is, the same agency that he worked for, and in administration. So I began to, take heed to what he was saying, and actually applied at the regional office, and ended up getting the position of regional training assistant was my position at that time. And I was so excited, and because he was there every step of the way. But anyway, to make a long story short and get to the point, he became a co-worker, not working in the same office, but for the same agency. And that way I got a chance to still keep informed with him. But anyway, and then of course we became friends, and that's why I titled this poem specifically Counselor, Co-worker, and Friend. But the saddest part is maybe a year into me working there and everything, he passed away. And of course, my writing skills and my poetry skills kicked in, and I just wanted to do something special for him. And I did a piece especially for him to present at his funeral. Well, it was a memorial. But anyway, it's called Counselor, Co-worker, and Friend. I met you in a desperate time of need. You taught me not to fail, but to succeed. The first time we met, you listened attentively. It was the beginning of something very new. I realized then, real troopers are few. With your help, I gained my strength and self-esteem. It was the beginning of recovery, at least it seemed. Before I knew it, I was back on track, You reassured me like buddies, we made a pact. You always made sure I had what I needed, not missing a beat, making sure I succeeded. I could go on and on, these words never to end. In my heart, you're my counselor, co-worker, and friend. And you just don't understand how much joy I got, presenting that poem at his memorial. And it was hard for me to read it because I was actually, really heartbroken that he had passed away. But when it was all over, said and done, I ended up printing at least 12 of the copies of that poem because all of the counselors that had been knowing him for years and years, and his family had come from another state, and they wanted a copy of the poem. So that was an honor, that they felt real special about that poem. So I just wanted to share that with you. So be blessed today and every day. Talk to you soon.